in the future, when there's more and more AI and there's more and more deep fakes and there's more and more of that happening, the name of the game in marketing is trust.
How do I bring the leads faster? How do I shorten that wait time?
Yeah, you trust that I'm not a jerk, and that I'm not going to screw you over, but never have we had to deal with the trust of whether or not you're a real human being.
I just think that having some sort of personal brand and trust is going to become the new most important asset. You did something that I find interesting, repulsive, scary, all of the above. I was like, you did what, Dana? What are you doing? Why would you do this? Hi, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats. We've got the boss mom herself, Dana Malstaff, in the house. Dana, what's up?
I am good. How are you? I'm hanging.
Excellent.
Just chilling. I'm on like my 8th cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm on, I think, number 4 now. So, we're hankering for more.
I've got the 4 Sigmata. It's like the mushroom coffee. And I've now mixed it with decaf so that I can drink more. And I drink black coffee. I conditioned myself, just straight up black coffee all day long, every day.
So, we're both marketers. This episode's all about marketing. And the 4 Sigmata coffee, I first heard about that through Tim Ferriss on the Tim Ferriss podcast. I'm just curious, is that where you heard about it too?
No, I'm a woman. I don't listen to Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss,
sure.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, the reason I mention that is, I think podcast ads are underrated in a lot of ways. I heard Tim Ferriss run an ad for Samuel Hubbard shoes 4 years ago, and those are the only shoes I buy now.
Yeah.
He had made this point that, he's talking to some very rich, wealthy woman. And she had said, there's 2 things you don't skimp on: your mattress and your shoes. I was like, that makes sense. So that's all I wear. So I thought it'd be funny if that's why you were drinking, is we both had the Tim Ferriss effect. I don't know.
No, not Tim Ferriss, but I heard it from somebody. Yeah. That I had, somebody had mentioned mushroom coffee, that I trust. And then I went and they mentioned it to me. So I know, the influencer aspect is no doubt. Podcasting is one of the best ways to build influence. If you want, none of you and I don't have enough time for someone to binge on us one-on-one, right? So podcasting is one of the best ways to scale your bingeness. Now, you can do that through YouTube. You could do that through blogs. There are other authority platforms that I would say. But for me, especially since my audience is moms, listening is the fastest way to binging, because they're willing to stick with you for 20, 30 minutes as opposed to 4 or 5. You don't have to wear pants or put makeup on, which I forgot to do. I would say both. I was going to say both. I'm wearing a dress. I forgot to do both before we started recording. So it's there's the podcast component that allows you to become best friends with somebody. And that's what they do. They then listen to you. They buy what you buy. They part of our entire nurture sequence, when we recommend people create a email nurture sequence, recommend is one of the things that we do, because you want to recommend not just things that are within what you sell or what you do. Recommend things you love. You recommend that pillow that you love. You recommend that workout person that you love. You recommend the coffee you drink, or I have my Gab wireless, which is the watches my kids wear. When people buy those things, you now have a connection. You've created a connection. People want to do the things that you do, and they want to trust somebody. My friend, Mark Savant, him and I were having this discussion. And one of the things that he said that I love is that in the future, when there's more and more AI and there's more and more deep fakes and there's more and more of that happening, the name of the game in marketing is trust. Is not just the trust that you're going to be good to me, but the actual trust that you're real. We haven't had to deal with that in marketing ever. You trust that I'm not a jerk, and that I'm not going to screw you over, but never have we had to deal with the trust of whether or not you're a real human being that's really there doing real things. The humanness and podcasting is one of the best ways to be human, because it's not perfectly edited. It's conversational. They get to feel like you're in their living room with them. So yeah, I have been doing it for almost a decade now. And I would tell you that I still tell people getting featured or having your own show coupled together is still one of the best ways to get business. It's 99% of fractional CMO work. or getting one-on-one clients or people joining programs we have is because they may have heard me starting somewhere else, but they've come and listened to the podcast, and that's what got them on the phone or made them decide they liked me.
Right. Well, and listen, that's been my experience over the past half decade. It's why I run a podcast agency. That's why I help others get their shows launched and automated. And we use AI and people and systems and all that, because I think that it is still probably the best way to build the know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. But what podcasts are not good at is turning cold leads warm. You know, they're a great way of someone seeing a clip or reading a blog or meeting you at a networking event and then saying, that person's interesting. Let me dig a little bit deeper. But I find the podcast medium as a whole is a terrible way of informing someone that you exist in general. You know, does that make sense? Is that your experience? Because if not, you can save me some aggravation here.
Well, I would say that's why getting featured has to be a big part if you have a podcast, because I agree. Nobody's going to come and care about you cold turkey. But if they heard Tim Ferriss say that you're awesome, now all of a sudden you know, they have your respect. So that's why going out and getting featured, I find even getting featured on the smaller podcasts where they only have 100, 200 downloads a month is a great place to be, because those people are now going, oh, that person sounded brilliant. I trust that you pick good people on your show. So if you trust them, I trust them. So I have found, like, we get me featured once or twice a week, every month, like basically like once or twice a week basically. Generally we took a couple years where we didn't do that and our sales dropped like pretty significantly. Once we started to do it, where I started to get back on and get featured pretty consistently, all of our numbers in every part of our business went up. So I would say, yes, you're right about your podcast that you have. Getting somebody to come in and spend the time with you takes a lot. It takes a lot for them to trust you for that amount of time. But if you're going out and getting featured, that all of a sudden happens. And if you go and Google me, right? If you're like, I don't know if I care about Dana, and you just Google Dana, I am 10 plus pages deep of features. They don't even have to listen to anything before they go, oh, this person must be an expert or know what they're talking about. Now, all of a sudden, without them even hearing anything, they're way more likely to go listen to my show or get into my space just from the features and 600 plus episodes that we've done. They don't have to do anything to just know that I'm legit. And the legitness helps them go from cold to warm, at least.
Which I think is the other benefit of recommending stuff that you actually use and like, because it just creates a deeper relationship. I don't know if this happens to you, Dana, by the way, without fail. This is crazy because I try to be straight. Without fail, every time I go to a conference, someone I've never met before walks up to me and they'll say, "Are you Mark Savant?" I say, "Yeah." Like, "I listen to your podcast all the time. You're amazing." And I'm sitting here and you know who you are, by the way, if you're listening and watching right now, you know that it's you. I want you to email me right now, because the question I always ask is, "It's nice to meet you. Where have you been? Why aren't you saying anything?" You know, does that happen to you? Because it happens every time I'm at a conference. It's actually bananas. From a boss dad to a boss mom, totally agree. Despite what social media tells you, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We actually all deal with problems, the same kind of problems. But and listen, I've been doing podcasting long enough that I understand that there is a long tail. Someone who's been listening to my show for 2 years is finally ready to buy. I don't know if you've had that experience too. Someone will be creeping behind the scenes and then reach out to me on LinkedIn and be like, "Hey, Mark, I've been listening to your show for 3.5 years. I'd like to hire your marketing agency." I'm like, okay, cool. And I know, again, I've been doing this long enough, consistently enough. I know without fail, that's going to happen every week, every month. I'm going to get those types of leads, which is great for me. I built up the momentum. We build up momentum, but if you're a boss mom and you're trying to build a company from the ground up, you don't always have weeks, months, years to wait for the leads to come in. So, and that's kind of where my obsession is right now. How do I bring the leads faster? How do I shorten that wait time? How do we get the leads into their inbox right now? So I'm curious, because there's always a new mousetrap. A few years ago it was Clubhouse, and years ago before that it was MySpace or whatever. Like, what's hot now? Where are you finding great places for boss moms to get leads here in 2024?
Yeah. Well, and I think, by the way, there's always got to be a long game and a short game, right? Like, until you're super well established, you can't let go of the short game and just enjoy reap the benefits of you playing for the long game. It's like investing in, so that you can retire. Those things have to be built up. So you have to have both. So the things that you're doing now to get people, and what we call basically is, I tell people we do nurture to convert is like our marketing system that we teach. And there's nurture messaging, there is results messaging, and there's conversion messaging. Conversion messaging, one of the things we teach is catalysts. And so what you have to do is you're staying top of mind for people so that when the catalyst happens, right? So for instance, the catalyst for you might be that their referrals have all dried up. And now they need to go out and actually be forward facing in order to, and build authority. They might find that they have a new competitor, and that's a catalyst. For us, it might be that their kids are becoming 4 or 5 and now they've got a little more space and they're like, I'm going to start a business, right? For somebody else, it might be in fitness, it might be those pants that always fit don't fit anymore. And they're either faced with buying a whole new wardrobe or doing something about it. A divorce, a sickness in the family, something your kid says to you that makes you go, oh my God, I don't want to be that person. And then you go get a life coach. Like, a catalyst is always the thing that makes them go, crap, I better do this now. It puts them into action mode. Right? So you need to be top of mind. That's why in real estate, they're constantly sending you things and putting it in front of your face, because they never know when that moment is going to happen where the catalyst of wanting to move, buy, invest, sell, do whatever is going to happen. And so that's why the podcasting and things that create longevity of authority work so well. I do think no matter what your short game and long game is, having some place where you've built authority, which is either podcasting, YouTube, or blogs, right? So you need to have the searchability. You need to have that they can get to know you on a deeper level without you being there. Those things. I like podcasting for moms because it's just easier to execute. But one of those I think has to be present, because during that time of buildup, even in the short term, people are going to sleuth around and look for you. They're going to want to get the legitness. Like, do I trust this person? So even if you want fast leads, you have to have authority content that they can go in and feel like they've done their due diligence about you before they hop on a call or do something. But I do think the short term is, we call them performance goals, right? The short term is always grassroots. It's always grassroots. There is no way to get short-term sales by someone will be like, oh, we'll just build a sales funnel and then sell them this course on the back end. That's not short term. That's not short term. You still have to figure out the way to get them in. There's still the visibility. So to me, networking and the grassroots connection, and there are ways for you to go in. Like, we've created Boss Mom Plus to be a alternative to Facebook groups, an alternative to social, for our moms that don't want to be content creators and don't want to be in a million groups with a bunch of spammy people now and all that kind of stuff. And so we're creating this alternative. But depending on what industry you're in, going in and being able to search and find people and connect with people, and doing that quickly is going to be the easiest way to get somebody on the phone and sell them whatever you have. For us, like you're talking about a platform, that's hard. I think that there are a couple places that people can get fast results with doing fast content. Number one, I think I have seen from Instagram, what is really working on Instagram are what we call 5-second reels, right? And you've seen them. Somebody's got their coffee, somebody's sitting on the thing. You're actually the 5-second looping video in the background, but you're just the visual noise. There's nothing special about you or what you're doing. You're not saying anything, but it's the text on the top. And the text on the top is POVs, that moment you realize, right, that the only way to get clients is to build authority through a podcast, and you finally take the leap, and now you have a stream of clients coming every week, right? Great. That's enticing. I want to read more. Linked with a ManyChat. ManyChat, I think, is the number one thing right now that is the fastest way to get leads, because then without you being there, they comment a word below, they comment podcast below, they get into your list, you can automatically get them and lead in. You can connect with them without you doing anything. Now Instagram thinks you're engaging, so they're going to show it to more people. We can do a whole month content in 2 hours because you're not doing speaking, you're not doing anything. I can record in 1 hour, literally like enough B-roll for us to use all the time because you're not doing anything special. We brainstorm out a bunch of the POVs, which is like you finally decide to do this and now this happens and you're super excited. Or opinions where you're like, this is broken with the world, let's normalize this, right? Or calling out permissions or belonging. It's like you have a voice, you have things to say, and now it's time for people to listen, right? If you've been thinking about starting your own podcast, like comment podcast below, and I'm going to help you get started in the next 90 days, right? So you can finally get the recognition and the authority you deserve, like those kinds of things. All of those, they're super easy to make. ManyChat makes it automated. To me, that's the fastest way to be getting leads right now. And it's super popular. And I give it 1 to 2 years before Facebook or Meta does something asshole-ish and shuts it down. And then we can't use it anymore. So I would say maximizing
implement their own ManyChat in case, because I think is an important. I'm obsessed with AI and automation. By the way, guilty as charged. And that's what ManyChat is. It's an AI chatbot that you can kind of program so that anybody that engages with you, it's on auto. And by the way, you and your team do a really good job of. This is kind of a funny compliment here, but you do a really good job of communicating without you having to be in the middle of the communication. Okay.
Right.
Meaning, this is, I've, have a relationship with Dana. We've known each other for a few years, but leading up to this interview, I didn't speak to Dana at all. Her team, her automations, they all made it happen, which frees up Dana to do the stuff in her life that's important. Right. And I think that's definitely one of the major goals that I have as a business owner, as a dad boss, is I want to spend more time with my family. I want to spend less time on social media. And so that brings me up to another, I think, point or counterpoint to something you mentioned, Dana, because I don't disagree. I think you're right about the 5-second reels. I think the 5-second reels are super hot right now. The problem that I have with the 5-second reels is I've done that, and that hamster wheel just tires me out. Like I felt like I was always worried about, I got to shoot more videos today. I got to shoot more videos. And this is why I'm so heavy into podcasting, is I know that I can record a 30-minute conversation with Dana, and I'm going to turn that into Instagram Reels, into TikToks, into YouTube Shorts. It's going to be a long form YouTube video. It's going to drive my email newsletter. It's going to drive my blog. So I get the kind of like the best of both worlds with the short form stuff and the long form stuff. And plus, with I'm going way kind of into a tangent here, but
do it tangent. Yeah.
These AI tools that are out here and the systems make it so much easier to repurpose the content. And then if you have the right systems, maybe a couple of VAs to help out, maybe you work with an agency, you can all of a sudden just magnify your time times 100.
Well, let me argue with you there, because I don't disagree, because you're you and your brain works the way you do. But I have an insane amount of girls in our community and our end clients that sounds intensely overwhelming. Like, that's why people hire you as an agency. Like, that's why you have to invest in it, because you don't think it sounds hard. But just the idea for me, because someone else produces my podcast. Oh my gosh, if you take a video and I'm like, oh, we'll just splice this up and we'll cut it into 3 things and we'll put it on our YouTube, and then it never happens if I were doing it on my own, because that takes an immense amount of work, right? Like, it's easy for you because that's what you do every day. It makes sense. But to anybody else, it doesn't. And I agree, the ManyChat stuff, the stuff like that, to me, that's why you ask the long form and the short form. That's not sustainable. That helps you build up enough of a base, enough of an email, enough of a clout, so that the long-term engine can grow itself, can move and can happen there. And the SEO becomes easier and all those things. I agree. Like, I don't want to freaking be on Instagram sipping coffee. I do think there's a difference though between, and podcasting can really help with this, is there is a ton of people who do that and there's no integrity on the back end, right? They do that and they're getting into a course they stole from somebody else. Basically, they took a course and then wrote a course, who wrote a course and wrote a course, and everybody's just teaching each other how to grow their Instagram or make $10,000 a month or whatever it is. And there's a lot of that. You and I and whoever's watching, you know whether your business on the back end has integrity, right? And time will tell. The podcasts that you do, the interviews that you do, the content that you create, the testimonials that you get from how you deliver to your community, to your clients, that will be the telltale sign where in the end, we win because we have high integrity on the back end. It'd be silly of us not to recognize on the front end what is working, leveraging those things, and then moving into whatever is going to. So I think we all 20% of our time is going to be having to see what's working and then deciding what we're willing to do and what we're not. There's things I'm just not willing to do. And in order to get seen, I'm not willing to, to do a lot of the things I do like. And then this is the thing, if you're somebody who actually has things to say, then podcasting is great. If you're somebody who doesn't actually feel like they have a lot to say, maybe you're selling a product. I've had people, they're like, Dana, I'm selling this product. I don't really have a lot to say. You should get this product because it's really good. But I don't really have, then the podcast is not for you. And a different strategy is going to be for you. Like, our person is the person who actually has opinions, has thoughts, wants to get ranty, believes like, if you just knew what I knew, life would be easier.
And to your point, a moment ago, I think as we move into this new age of AI, deep fakes, production, and digital, that's why I think that at least having I just think that having some sort of personal brand and trust is going to become the new most important asset. So whether, to your point earlier, that could be a blog, that could be YouTube videos, podcast, whatever it ends up being. I think it is important though that we're building out our personal brand, because the world is going to change so quickly. It's going to change so quickly, and I'm loath to be completely married to an idea. Like, I had a hot take just earlier today, and you might disagree with this. People might. I'm cool. Send your hate mail to Dana, not to me, but. I'm kind of the opinion that email is dead or dying. People are I think the golden age of email marketing is over, because emails are going to spam like crazy. I'm signing up for newsletters going to spam. I'm in a men's group at church. I said, please sign me up so that I can receive your emails when stuff is happening. That's going to spam. So if everything is going to spam now because of all these new Gmail rules and Yahoo rules and Outlook rules, this might be the end of email marketing as we know it. So, quick hot take for you there.
Okay. So I have actually, my first thought before you said that is going to pair nicely with it. So number one is, I think you're right and wrong at the same time about email marketing. I think you
sound like my wife right now, by the way. So.
Well, I think that the way we've been doing email, that's what's dying. I think there is I think email will always be relevant, but I do think there's a particular way to do it. The idea that everything's changing so fast, yes, tools are changing fast, the way we use them, but the way humans work, that doesn't change, right? And I'm a big, deep lover of behavioral psychology, behavioral economics. On my bucket list, I want to be given an honorary PhD in behavioral economics so that I can go. Actually, I'd just be good if they just give me my MBA, because I don't feel like I need to go to school for that. And then I'll take the PhD. But the way humans work will never change. People want to be seen, right? They want to be valued. They want to be valuable. They want to contribute, right? Those three things will never change in human behavior. And I think the fourth one is we will never stop beating ourselves up for not hitting our goals, not doing our things, thinking we're not enough, wondering if we're lovable, thinking we're leavable, thinking I'm never going to hit my goals. Even if I'm 2 steps forward, I'm 2 steps back, like that kind of stuff. And so the way humans work, that doesn't change. If you take that into consideration, then yes, the tools we use may change. The where we hang out may change, right? The way we talk, but ultimately, like if we go to the email part, yes, long form email that was working like gangbusters, big. I think newsletters are actually making a comeback, but they have to be done differently. A lot of those things have changed. The idea that you're just selling, and the way they're doing that and the way the emails have worked doesn't work anymore. But if you know how people feel, then what we're finding is feedback loop questions are killing it. Like if you can get your emails to actually get not only opened, but people reply to them, then all of a sudden, so we're finding the 1-2 sentence emails are killing it, right? So I have a client, they're in luxury wedding photography that I'm their fractional CMO. And in this, we periodically literally just send out that one liner that says, hey, have you considered buying the business of luxury weddings? Is it on your mind? And that's it. There's no links. There's no nothing. It gets delivered. And then they get this insane amount of emails that are like, I didn't even know you had it. Tell me more about it. I have been thinking about it. And then someone on their team replies back and goes, oh, well, let's hop on a call. Like, oh, let's do this thing, right? I just did that. It was like, hey, you think about buying Boss Mom Plus? And we had this insane amount of replies that were like, what the hell is Boss Mom Plus? Or I've been thinking about it. Or no, I don't want it because of this. Now my team and I can divvy those up and we could go and reply to those. And now my deliverability is much higher. I do feedback loop questions that are like, hey, what do you think about this? And so the same way you'd in a Facebook group or in a space or in your stories, have them reply, we're making those emails. Now what we're doing is we are establishing ourselves within Google, within Yahoo, whatever those are, as a real human. I'm also telling people, take out the branding, take out the signature, take out anything that looks like it could be promo. Don't use certain words. We know what all those trigger words are. Don't say something's free. Don't say something's on sale. Don't use money signs. Create more intrigue and create interest in your opinions. Like I just wrote an email and it was said, I'm pissed off. And it was an email about social media does not care about us moms. It does not care about small businesses. It is an entertainment platform, right? You think that it's for you to grow your business, but it is an entertainment platform. My kids look at YouTube as a channel, not as a place to learn things. That's where they go for their TV before they go to Netflix or Prime or any of those places, right? And so the way people are starting to use social media is for entertainment or to get their mind off something. So if you're selling physical products, something that helps your hair get thicker, something that helps, you get fit, like those things are killing it on Instagram. But if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, this isn't built for you anymore. Like that shift has been made. So I just wrote this email that I'm pissed off. I'm not going to stand for it anymore. Like I'm a people pleasing person that have been playing by their rules for too long. We created Boss Mom Plus because I say, screw social media. We're going to build our own platform. And a year or two from now, every single mom can be on Boss Mom Plus and you don't ever have to be on social media again to grow your business. That is the promise I'm making you right now. The amount of responses like, amen, you're in my brain. How did you know? Like, tell me where to sign up. Not even that we just got people signing up, because there's a ton of people that were like, this is it, but I don't know that I need another place to be. How do I know you're not just another platform? All of that. But those were all individual responses to my inbox, which tells everything that I'm a regular human. And then we reply to each of those people. Now we've established this rapport with them, but also with Google as a system, that we are so I do think email has changed, but I think it has changed to be more engaged. If you don't want to email your people back, if you don't want them to email you or have conversations, you will lose the email game. We have to start actually thinking as email as its own social platform and the way that we engage. And when you do that, I think you'll actually win out.
Interesting. Just like most things, all these platforms change. I do like that idea though. 1 to 2 second emails, feedback loops, purge, if you're running a newsletter, purging subscribers that aren't engaging so you can make sure you 100%. Increase the deliverability. All those things are important. Some I need to do, but I'm a little bit scared to do it because I hate to lose all these people, but they're just weighing things out.
And get ranty. That's what people want. People don't want you, like, stop doing things in email where, and I think this in all marketing, even in podcasting, right? Stop doing it where it's like, we all want this thing and this is thing, and actually move to I. My dad used to say, he's like, I can't see through the trees because I would use I too much. And he's like, stop taking you out and talk about, but we've moved into a place like Brand Story, in my personal opinion, doesn't work anymore. I get a ton of people who use Brand Story and then they're like, crap, it's not working. And they come to me because what we teach is how to brainstorm your opinions, how to actually put you at the center, like you're talking about the personal brand, and do, instead of demographic niching, do what we call emotional niching, so that you can hit on their emotions of what they're feeling. And that way you can uncover what your demographic is, because a lot of times that's shifting. But it's really centered around what you want to change about the world, what isn't working, what's broken, what you wish was different. And then a shared vision, we call it your movement manifesto, of what you wish the world looked like, and then how your solution was made because you want to be a part of the change. So your content ends up being you being ranty about what you're sick of, what you want to change, what you think is, those kinds of things. And that's what's actually working really well, because instead of it being like, I'm trying to sell you something, it's like, hey, I want to let you into my world and I'm pissed off, or I wish this was different, or like, let's not stand for this anymore. Like, this is the thing that we all need to be doing. That's why I do think you having opinions about what the best place to be, what your recommendation about what you see is working. Mark Schaefer does this really well, because he comes in, he's like, hey, I'm looking at AI, I'm looking at these things, and this is what you should care about. And if you trust me, then don't listen to anything else. Like trust this one idea. And so you read his stuff because he's giving you real valuable, but they're all opinions. I think the future of email marketing and a lot of what we're putting online is your personal opinions about what's broken or the way things should be. And then your solution should be nestled into part of the solution to the problem you're ranting about.
Interesting. It's not something I've really thought about and put words to. But you're right.
I bet you naturally do it. The people that are successful and they can't pinpoint why, it's because they naturally do that.
Well, I think that I am naturally doing that, but I just I haven't really put words to it. But you're right. When I say things like I'm pissed off, or I can't believe they did this to me, or stuff like that, it gets people intrigued. The other advantage, I think, of using the word I is, because you're right, in marketing it's all about you, but it's this kind of compelling, because the other advantage of using the word I is it kind of forces you to tell stories, go on rants, that you can connect with people, because you're like, oh, I feel that way too. So that's interesting that you put it down like that.
Yeah, if you're sending out emails, the same thing on social, but emails feels like, since we were talking about it, if people are not replying with amen, you're in my head, how did you know this has been on my mind, right? Or we do permission emails where it's like, you're not broken. Like, if you're doing this, you're just like us, because people like Seth Godin would say, people like us do things like this. Like, you have to create belonging by saying, if you go for long runs and people think you're crazy because, running is the one way to give you energy and make you happy, then you're in the right place. I would be like, hey, if you love being a mom, but having a business actually rivals the importance to you, and you grapple with the identity of needing to build, but also wanting to nurture, dude, you're in the right place. And anybody that thinks you're crazy, ignore them and hang out with us. In those cases, the emails where you're giving that permission to be who they are, the reply back to that is always, I needed to hear this today. That's it. If you're not getting emails that say, amen, how did you know that's what I was thinking? Or I needed to hear this today, then you're not sending emails that are going to get you sales or get you loyalty. And I think the name of the game when you talk about trust is loyalty. Tim Ferriss has loyalty. You buy what he says because you are loyal to his beliefs, his opinions. If he did something to break that trust, you wouldn't listen to him anymore. And so you've got loyalty, and loyalty is only there with integrity. And you got to decide what integrity means to you, because it's a big jargony word that means something different to everybody.
Integrity. Yeah, no, I 100% agree that more so now than ever, like I had mentioned before. One more question before y'all. You got to definitely go to boss-mom.com, boss-mom.com. That's where you're going to find more of Dana. She's just we're touching the tip of the iceberg here. You can go to boss-mom.com to learn more. But before I let you go, Dana, you did something that I find interesting, repulsive, scary, all of the above. I was like, you did what, Dana? What are you doing? Why would you do this? But I wanted to kind of get your opinion on this. You were the owner, curator, proprietor of a Facebook group. I don't know where I came up with these words. You had this Facebook group with 75,000 moms in it, your ideal audience, 75,000 of them in your group, but you decided to shut it down. That's crazy to me. Why would you shut down a Facebook group with 75,000 people in there? Isn't that a great asset?
Yes and no. Okay, so there's a couple things. Number one, Facebook has made it increasingly hard for large groups for you to reach your own audience. They've made it I spent $1,500 every single month just to manage the amount of spam and fake accounts, people, just so much crap that's in there. So there's that. There's the management side and the fact that I can't even reach my audience that is like, yeah, what's the point if they're not? And the bigger you get, you say they're our ideal person, but that's not actually true, because once you start, just like a viral post, like once you start getting too big, then Facebook is recommending you to these outer circles. They get and then all of a sudden you're not getting your ideal person in there and managing. So there's that one aspect. But here's the thing. I have a belief when you talk about trust and integrity that we are about to move into an era of paid community. I think we are and I want to be on the forefront of it, right? I believe that the time of good free community where people trust and want to hang out in there is coming to an end. I think the only free communities out there that are going to be there are going to be crap, right? And so what people told me is they're like, Dana, how could you close this community? It's one of the most engaged communities. Like Jenna Kutcher brought me in to try and get her community more engaged because we had the same size group and I had 10 times the engagement that she had, right? So it's a big thing, like what we'd built, right? And I tried to explain to people that's because of the way we run it. I had people offering me 30 grand to buy it. I had people telling me that I needed to give it to them for the greater good because this was important. And I was like, dude, you can't come in and buy my restaurant just because, like it doesn't work. Like I built this and you'd ruin it anyway. Like anybody that came in, because people take for granted what we built. We built something that actually takes time and effort. It's run I teach people to do community. I get hired by companies to facilitate community. I'm the person that you bring in when you need better retention, less refunds, those things. Like I'm that person. And so the community, basically I said, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to move it over. And I've always wanted a Boss Mom app. I was like, we are literally going to shift. You can get our community. It's only $67 for the whole year, right? It's not, but there is a new barrier to entry. And the amount of women that are like, oh my gosh, right? Like I want this. Well, we're on pace to have about 500 new people a month. And that's without ads. That's organic, right? I was saying, hey, I'm going to give them a little time to realize how good they had it. It's like a relationship where you're like, yeah, sure, go off and see what's better, because there is nothing better than what we built, because we're freaking good at building community and facilitating that to where you get clients, you get, referral, you get features, you get all that stuff. So we've moved that on. I think we are on the forefront with things like Circle, which I think is going to get bigger and bigger, to have paid communities. And I think all the people that say it's a good, leverageable space are going to find that is less and less true. And the only groups left on Facebook are going to be either crap communities for business owners, or the only thing that will actually be good are potentially like local running groups and local whatever groups, for your kids' sports and things like that. And everybody else in the next 10 years is going to leave, and paid spaces are going to be the next big thing.
Very interesting. Very interesting hot take. And I'm absorbing it, and I have no counterpoint. I will say that I'm sure that was a very difficult decision to make.
Yes.
Because, blood, sweat, and tears go into that,
Well, let me tell you this. I went and saw Dune 2. Actually, there's two things. Number one is when I went to go design the app, and I got on a call with somebody about designing the app, because I want a $1 million app, and it was going to be a productivity app. It was actually going to be something completely different. And they said, do you want community? And I said, no, I want nothing. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want no communication with anybody. And then I sat back, and one of my team members voxered me, and she's like, Dana, but you love people, like you love community. And when I sat and really like meditated and thought about it, it's not community that I didn't like. It was the Facebook group. I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't like the people that like, were in it. I didn't like the fact that we had created this amazing space where people were getting business, and I didn't want to be there anymore. And when I really thought about it, I was like, well, what if we were getting paid to, for people to have that same community? Like, you want to get clients, we'll help you get clients. We do really good at the networking and facilitate networking. But what if you had to pay to do it? And now all of a sudden, everything in my revenue stream isn't a free thing that I'm really good at. And then I got to figure out another way to get paid. What if the thing I'm really good at is what we get paid for? And then I went and saw Dune 2 all by myself. I love going to the movies by myself. And when I came out, like, there's this scene, I won't do any spoiler alerts, but basically there's a scene where he has to make a choice. Either he goes all in, sever ties with a bunch of things that that have been a part of his life and that he cares about in order to become this thing, in order to become this bigger thing. And he makes that decision and leads this massive revolution. And I came out of that movie and I messaged my team and I was like, we're shutting the group down. They're like, we're shutting it down, like just flat turkey. We're not going to have both. I was like, we can't have both. I can't have both. Either we have to keep this and recognize that there's two places where they could get something similar, or we have to just shut it down and let everybody feel the pain of that not being there and put all in on this thing. We have to burn something to the ground in order to, like, Phoenix style this new thing and make that our messaging, is that you had to close that because social media just doesn't care about you. And we've created a space that does. Those two things. So I think and that's a catalyst, right? Which means I invested a crap ton of money to make it our own app. Like, I've done a ton of things that are big investments, like big things that I might not have bought before because I had a catalyst, which goes full circle to what you were talking about. Like, you have to build authority in space so that when somebody has a catalyst and now is ready to buy, you're top of mind.
Fantastic. That sounds like an email subject line. I saw Dune 2, and then I just kind of strikes me as something to be pretty compelling. This does really speak to me, Dana. And I've been talking this pretty regularly on the podcast because I had to make the really big decision to close down one of my income streams. And it's the idea of pruning. So as a business owner, we want to grow the most perfect rows possible. That's where we're going to get the vast majority of our gains. And in order to develop the most perfect rows, we need to prune. We need to cut out the dead branches. We need to cut out the sick branches. And we also need to cut off the branches that are not optimal because they're taking up our energy. And I struggled with closing down that income stream for a long time. I dedicated a lot of time and money and energy into it. But I was like, this is fine, but it's not an optimal branch. In order for me to really make the impact that I want on the world, I need to close down the other things so I can really focus. So, anyway.
Well, kudos to you. Yeah. And for anybody that's not sure how to do that, the Pumpkin Plan by Mike, is it McCowitz? Yeah. Yeah, he's the same guy. I have the book right here because I was just looking at it because we're rewriting the Boss Mom book, but he wrote The Profit First. There's a book called the Pumpkin Plan. And it's exactly that. It talks about how people grow the biggest award-winning pumpkins and they kill off the smaller pumpkins. The ones that could be good but will never be award-winning, and talking about how you have to do that in your business because there's an opportunity cost. It's like sitting at a gambling table and being like, well, I've been here for 8 hours. I'm bound to win at some point, so I'm just going to bleed money. The smart people get out, right? The smart entrepreneurs know that 80% of what they do is going to be okay or fail. They find the 20% that works and they fan that flame and they grow it. Like, that is the only difference between entrepreneurs who are super successful and not, is that they don't expect it to be 50%. They don't want it to be 50%. They want to take that 20%, let go of everything else and do what works. So that makes you a good entrepreneur.
Well, thanks.
Which is my compliment to you.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna be cutting. By the way, editing team, cut that, paste that everywhere. We've got a testimonial from the Boss Mom herself. Y'all don't miss out on what Dana's doing. Definitely go to boss-mom.com, boss-mom.com for more. Dana, thanks for joining the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me.